Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're hopping back into some Pirate Rumble, showcasing the new Beast Mode Leopard Lucci, the new V3 Lucci that has arrived over here on the Japanese side of the game, and we are taking him into some Pirate Rumble. Now, I am working on some showcases in some actual gameplay with this particular character, but with Dex sort of just getting a bit of a resurgence, Lucci actually helps him out quite a bit, and he's a very, very good unit in Rumble. So in today's video, we are going to be bullying some more Dex teams. When it comes to Pirate Rumble on Japan, as I mentioned in the Strength video, as well as the original Dex video, it is quite balanced at the moment. Now, Strength is very, very good at beating Dex. Dex is very, very good at beating Quick, and Quick's very, very good at beating Strength. That doesn't mean like that they're any worse than each other. I do think Quick sort of still takes the cake because it can like hold its own against Int and Psy. Where Int and Psy is like Int's very good at defense, Psy's sort of very well rounded, and it's kind of nice though at the same time. Now with this particular team or with the Dex team, it does shine the best against the Quick variation, so that's what we're going to be showcasing it against. Now, when it comes to fighting stuff like the Strength team, you're better off just using a Quick team. And when it comes to fighting something like the Dex team, you're better off just using a Strength team. Now, obviously, there are teams that can kind of like different variations that can go up against Psy and go up against Int. But when it comes to versing Int, just don't even do it. Like, they're so defense orientated that it's just absolutely wild. And with my 4-man defensive team, like, I'm just getting so many defense per day. It's pretty hard to get around. And when it comes to Psy, you do need to sort of build your team in different ways, as Psy just has so many options. But the team we are sort of focusing on today looks a little bit like this. So we are using Kizaru, we are using Kid, Moria, and Cavendish, and then we do have Zoro, Sobermask on the bench, as well as Whitebeard as well. There is another variation that I was using as well. There is another really, really good, another 2 very good characters as well on the Dex variation. That is Queen. So we do have a couple of bit of showcase with Queen as well, as Queen is very, very good. But if you are missing them, you can also use something like the Anniversary Law with his counter mechanic. He's also a very, very good defensive unit. Now, as with all of my showcases over here on PvP on the Japanese side of the game, it is a little bit hindered because I don't have everything maxed. Most of my stuff is at around level 9. All of my abilities are level 5. But as you can see, we don't even have any of these characters close to Rainbow. I think I do have PvP Whitebeard Rainbow now. But just with tablets and sort of still building up the account, I can't really showcase these to their true potential. So the results will be a little bit hindered. And that's another reason why I really just want to fight Quick, because this particular team is just built to take down Quick. So with that said, let's dive into some content. Alright, so the first team we're coming up against is actually a bit of a janky Quick team. They are using Moria, and I was actually pretty impressed by this team, and you guys will see what I mean when we actually start taking it on. Moria's ability to just halve your stats is so damn powerful that actually just sliding him onto a team where he can actually boost a lot of Driven and Powerhouse characters actually works quite nicely. Now, with the Quick team, they are sort of built around Driven and Powerhouse. You do have a lot of Powerhouse with, like, Akainu, with Magellan, and with Kaido, and then you've also got the Driven aspect with stuff like Shiryu, as well as Moria buffing himself as well. The downside is Moria is not really getting a buff per se, but really, as long as you get that special to proc off once, you will be in good stead. Now, with the Queen team, the first sort of team that I am showcasing here, we do have a lot of HP. We have a little bit of defense, nothing like what Kid can give us and replenish the defense, but what Queen can actually do is Queen can just sort of single target one unit and just absolutely bully them. You can also get an action bind off as well, which is really, really nice. As you can see, we had Lucci coming in fairly early. He does lower defense and then he does damage, and ideally you actually want him coming in after Moria. With the PvP Moria, he actually reduces the defense a lot, and then he does a bunch of damage, and then reduces defense even further for Quick units. Now, we actually got fairly unlucky, and Cavendish actually just got super clapped early, namely because of their Int Moria special. We did get our Moria coming in to lower the defense and whatnot. We do have Zoro on the front line of the bench, because normally when we are versing the Quick team, this doesn't happen all that often. We don't actually lose units very, very early. But like I said, if you do come up against like a full rainbowed Quick team, and you do have a team that looks a little bit like mine, where I don't have all my specials maxed, I don't have all of my characters rainbowed, it can be a little bit different. But as you can see, we did manage to clutch it with our big dog Whitebeard, as well as our Zoro unit as well. At this sort of point, they kind of really don't have that much firepower on the bench, as they are running all Sugos, and we can sort of take them out, and Shiryu, I should say, and we can just sort of take them out over time here. I think Lucci's actually just going to finish this off. Catch you later, Magellan. So that was the first fight against Moria. It was a very interesting team. Not a bad defensive team for the quick variation, and I feel like it's going to jump a lot of Dex teams that do try and take it on. Let's move on to the second fight now. Alright, so the second fight is against a Cracker Ivankov variation with a bunch of sort of PvP units on the bench. Now, this guy has a lot of combat power. 58,000 is pretty solid. But he is using an 8-man team very similar to mine. That doesn't really mean he's the be-all, the end-all when it comes to combat power. But 6+ Cracker is a really good option. And if you are looking for free-to-play options, Ivankov and like Bellamy and stuff can work very, very nicely for the quick team. That's the upside to the quick team. It has a lot of options. When you compare it to Strength and Dex, it has a lot of free-to-play options and a lot of other options that you can use if you are missing some of these high-end legends, where sort of Strength and Strength and Dex are sort of very reliant on those PvP units and some of those higher-end legends. Obviously, the strongest quick team relies on those very high-end legends as well, but they can get away with using some other free-to-play units, stuff like Queen, and using stuff like Bellamy, Ivankov, Kazuna King, Pyramble Lucy. There's a lot of very, very good options for them. So, as you can see, because we are using Dex, we can sort of just tank a lot of these shots. We do have the quick damage reduction as our built-in PvP ability. We can lower a lot of defense with Lucci, lower a lot of defense with Moria, and by that particular point, once Cavendish comes in, he's just basically going to kill the character with the highest recovery. I think it is. No, not highest recovery. That's a kind of... He kills the enemy with the highest or the lowest HP or something like that, but funny enough, he takes out Akainu, which is really, really good. And then we can have Queen coming in. Now, Queen should do 5,000 damage, but obviously my Queen's only level 9. So it is what it is. But at this point, we're just consistently replenishing our defense with our Kizaru. We're getting extra attack with Kizaru. We're lowering their defense, and we're just outputting a lot of damage. That's the upside to Lucci. He can just help with all that damage output. He's basically a Sugo version of Moria, but he's just not sort of targeted at always nerfing the quick color like Moria actually is. At this particular point, like we have lost quite a bit of HP because the quick team does output a lot of damage, but it's not going to matter too much because we have a lot of defense. We can just continuously tank shots and we can sort of just carry on. Now, we actually got fairly unlucky there, and the Whitebeard special actually procced off, which means that our Lucci special actually got binded. Now, Whitebeard has the tendency to special bind powerhouse units, and that's a big downside to Dex, and I feel like Int has the same issue, that special bind is really, really, really effective when you are taking on these particular teams, as if you actually special bind them, they really can't do too much, namely Dex because they can't replenish their defense, and same as Int when you are taking on a defensive Int team. But that was the second fight, went very, very well. Let's move on to some Kid variations now. Alright, so looking at Kid now over Queen, and I do think Kid is just a little bit of a better fit than Queen, mainly because he can replenish defense as well as do AoE damage, which is really, really nice. Queen can do that action bind ability, which can be clutch, but the damage that Kid can output after getting the defense down from both Lucci and Moria, in my eyes, that AoE is just way more viable, as well as actually getting that defense at the start of the fight as well. The downside is like Queen gives like level 7 HP, which HP in my opinion is like one of the best stats when it comes to Rumble, purely because it's very hard to remove, besides obviously stuff like HP cards, but you can replenish that obviously with like healing, where like defense you can lower, attack you can lower, and it doesn't last forever, where the HP buff, it hangs around for quite a significant amount of time. This defensive, like the Dex team has a lot of defense anyway, so you could argue that Kid's not overly essential, but for me, Kid's big benefit on this particular team is his AoE damage. The extra defense is just an extra bonus. As you guys will see here, we are versing a Stussy comp, and we are about to get Moria coming in before our what's his name, our Lucci special, which is exactly what we want. Now Lucci's going to lower the defense even more. Lucci's going to output a lot of damage and just absolutely decimate. Cavendish is going to come clean up one unit, and then whatever's left is basically just going to get taken out with our Kid special. We've got a lot of defense, so we can just sort of like cop those Akainu shots. We can cop those Magellan shots, those Kaido shots, those Luffy shots if we need to. And basically, it is just going to be GG from here on out. So that was a Stussy comp. As you can see, like the quick team still has a lot of damage output, and when it comes to the 3 primary colors, I still believe that they are the best of the 3. They have the most options, but it is nice to see them actually getting absolutely pumped, even with some of those high-end legends or Pirate Rumble units. Let's move on to another Kid fight now. Alright, so onto a 6+ Carrot comp, and I really wanted to include this particular fight purely because they are using Carrot. Kara was a really, really good Pirate Rumble unit for the Slasher team when Pirate Rumble first actually came out. So I'm actually really curious to see how her 6+ performs. I do imagine it would perform fairly well, as like 6+s are meant to buff the characters, right? So I don't imagine there'd be too many issues when it comes to her 6+ at all. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. With our kid comp, once again, we do have a lot of damage output, which is really, really good. And we do have a lot of defense, so we can sort of tank those early shots. This guy's actually using PvP Wipe It in the front lines, and it's not actually a terrible idea when it comes to the defensive team for Quick, because you can get that special bind clutch ability off. The special bind that PvP Wipe It actually can provide is very, very good, but obviously PvP Wipe It shines the most in the back end of the fight. So Lucci came in and he actually lowered a lot of defense there, like a lot of defense. We are going to cop a Kaido shot here, which is going to give us a bit of a big shot there. But now we're going to have Moria come in. We're going to take out Whitebeard, which is actually really, really good. Carrot's going to do 2,500 fixed damage, but obviously with the damage reduction from Quick, we can actually reduce that, which I do find a little bit weird when it comes to fixed damage, but at the end of the day, look, it is what it is. We're going to lose Cavendish now, which is absolutely fine because we're approaching that 50-second mark. Once you start approaching that 50-second mark, you really want Cavendish to actually die, or someone on the team. That way you can get Zoro coming in and just doing stuff like this. And if it was the 50-second mark, there would be another one coming behind it. And if it's at the 30-second mark, there's another one coming as well. Now, I really like to use Zoro in the front line of the bench, purely because sometimes the fight can just go a little bit longer than expected. And when Zoro comes in, he just doesn't have a chance to actually use his special. So, utilizing him in the front line is very, very nice as well. Let's move on to the final fight of the video now, utilizing another kid comp. And the final fight of the video is versing the old school Quick Roger team. Now, this particular team looked a lot better when I first clicked it, but it will show you that the Dex teams can actually kind of shine when it has Roger. But I wouldn't take this as a be-all end-all. This is just a little bit of a fun situation, as the Kaido and Roger combo is actually still running around over here on the Japanese side of the game. It was kind of a little bit baffling to me to actually see that. Not in a bad way, but it was just kind of funny to see that people are actually still using Roger in tandem with stuff like Kaido, and in tandem with stuff like Tessero and Bellamy. It's just wild for me to see that. So I thought, hey, let's just take it on. As I sort of got into the fight, though, I did notice that they were missing some of the bigger players like Magellan and Akainu. They had Kuzan, who I initially thought was something like Luffy, but look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it just sort of, we're here to see what the Dex team can actually do against the Quick teams. So we're here to do that. So we're going to lower some defense with our Lucci. We are going to get a lot of damage output. We are going to get special binder for 10 seconds on Lucci there, but it doesn't matter too much because Lucci just popped his special off anyway. By the time we get our special back, we're good. Cavendish is going to kill Roger, which is just hilarious because like Roger just literally did nothing when he's just such a good PvP unit. But as you can see, like we are still taking damage. We're still taking quite a bit of damage actually. So once we get Moria coming in now, at this point it's basically game. And this is the reason why I do like Kid on the team, because he hits no one when he uses his special. Absolutely God mode. But no, if that Kid special actually connected, that should have board wiped and just ended the match. But unfortunately for us, RNG in Pirate Rumble is still a thing. Funny enough, it is still a thing. And we do have to sort of deal with the hand that's dealt. And we are just going to have to cop it. So this match is pretty much over at this point. So if Zoro could like actually connect with his attacks and say, okay, we're just missing apparently. Lots of misses apparently. We did get special bind once again, as you can see, very, very annoying. The powerhouse comp just gets sort of nerfed by PvP Whitebeard, which is just super, super weird to me. But that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lates!